Happy Wednesday, people. Usually I'm
Happy
here on a Thursday for Therapy Thursday, but I'm going to be taking me a little rest tomorrow. So I won't be on tomorrow. That's why we're having our Therapy Thursday today, Therapy Wednesday. So, you know me, I'm a licensed psychologist. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also an advanced clinical hypnotherapist. And I see my mission, I suppose, in life as a healer and a teacher. And my intention is to help people transcend their trauma. Something can take us out, or we can feel the burn, move through the burn, and use some of that burning to create passion, to create purpose, to create power. Okay? So, this week in my birth country of Dominica, you might have seen some of my posts. This week is Creole Week in Dominica. And what we do in Creole Week is essentially Africa in us comes alive in Creole Week. So we use that week to honor our ancestors, mostly our African ancestors, again for transcending pain, for really bearing such burdens, right? As they were trafficked, separated from their families of origin, tortured, enslaved, degraded on every level. I did a little live with you guys where I asked you to imagine you being one of those people who was just sitting at your home, perhaps with your girlfriend somewhere or your boyfriend somewhere on the little, by the bay, and before you know it, you're in the bottom of a boat, and you can't speak, you can't tell your mom something horrible is happening to me, something terrible is going down, and you never see them again, and they never see you again. They never see you again. So imagine the stories, you know, on both sides, and just not being able to connect. So we are a result of all of that. One of the things that our people in Dominica did very well was that they held on to every little bit they could. They mixed the language, they mixed African words with the French, they created French Creole in Dominica. They kept the style of dress. We have a robe douillette, which is made from just beautiful cloth that is very similar. When we look at, say, like Nigerian wear, we're like, oh, so that's what that is
It's
about. Yeah. So this afternoon, I have two lovely ladies with me because we're going to talk about this thing called therapy in Black people. Black people don't need therapy. Agree or disagree? I have two ladies with me. I want to introduce them. I actually want them to introduce themselves. I want Miss Leandra to tell me who she is today. Yes.
Hi. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm Leandra Lawrence. I'm a client of Dr. Wallace, and I'm an educator, and I need therapy. That's what I can say. I'm a Black woman that needs and loves going to therapy.
Yes. Thank you, Lee. All right, Justina.
Hi, everybody. My name is Justine Aulu Alakija. I have a master's in psychology, and I've been working as therapist in the last 6, 7 years. And I've worked among different races, and I call myself Africa America because I'm a first generation African American, so to say.
Mhm.
And I'm still fresh from the motherland, and I still have all those strong and knuckle things from the motherland. And I see a lot of struggling between me and my children when it comes to all of that. And
Mm.
when Dr. Wallace called me yesterday and told me about this, I'm like, I'm just going to put myself out there. Because what we are talking today, or what we'll be looking at today, it's something that, even though I'm a therapist, I think I still have some reservation, and we'll be getting into that in a short while. But that's
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you, Justina. So, look, I'm starting right there. Okay. Are people right? Like, do you agree or do you disagree with the idea that Black people really just, we don't need therapy?
Ah, I don't totally agree that we don't need therapy, because mental illness is real. So I wouldn't support the fact that we don't need therapy. But the point is, do we really want to put ourselves out there? I know that we need therapy, but am I as a person willing to put myself out there and be labeled and be stigmatized? Can I fix people outside of my immediate family and tell them this is what I'm going through, and I'm not expecting them to look at me somehow or start
Mm,
to treat me somehow? I
mm,
think that's really, really the issue. It's not because we don't believe we need it. We focus more on what people are going to say about us, what
mm,
they're going to think about us. Are we going to be accepted? Are we going to be rejected? Or are they going to embrace us? And that is what has pushed us back and
yeah.
make us who we are today.
Mm. Leandra, what are your thoughts?
So I have so many. I feel like just in the general, from your general question, I feel like we as a Black people, we're so resilient and we've been through so much. And especially with people from, generations before me, my grandparents, my parents, they don't see it as a necessity because we have each other as a family. If there's a problem, just come to each other and talk about it. But then that gets even deeper because it's like the problem may be you and I can't talk to you about it. And so I definitely believe that we as Black people need therapy. I don't think that people are comfortable with going outside of their comfort zone. I know in my case it's, why are you going to tell our business?
Mhm.
um and so that's been the biggest issue. It's just people don't want to step out of their comfort zone
So
because it
that's
is.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So, Justina, you said you were first generation. You're from Nigeria.
Yep.
Now, Leandra, what about where are you from, and what about your heritage?
Okay, so I was born in San Antonio, Texas. My father is Jamaican, um, and my mother is from Mobile, Alabama. So I have
Hmm.
a Caribbean father and a mother from the deep South.
Yes.
So it's been interesting growing up in a situation where they believe in the power of prayer, and that's it. It's prayer and family. And I believe in prayer and science. And so and I know they believe in science too. But when it comes to therapy and healing, it's you know, with them growing up, it was just basically all just give it to God and then keep it moving.
Yeah.
That's
So,
basically what it is.
so essentially, mainly a spiritual approach.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the other like the mental plane of existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mental or physical.
Yes.
Uh, so here we go. You both of you started mentioning some of these ideas many of our families have about therapy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Caribbean, African, African American, British American. I'm sure it's the same thing because we're all coming from Africa in some way. Which of these, what other stereotypes, what other, well, let's call them myths because they really are not all based in truth.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard you say, okay, we have family, we have prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Justina, you were saying, I can't be just opening myself up, yeah, telling my business. What are the myths you think or people have about therapy?
I would start by saying that as in Nigeria, when you, like, let's say you schizophrenia,
Yeah.
they're gonna think you've been caused. Somebody did something somewhere, and now that curse is on you. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing they ask you, what did you do? Who did you offend? Who did you?
Mm.
So nobody sees it as if,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something.
Yes.
And I would say an example is I have a 24-year daughter, and after college, somewhere in between grad school, she called me from nowhere. Do you know I've always had a social disorder from childhood? I'm like, hey, no, I cast it out in Jesus' name. You can't.
Mm.
I said, what happened? Well, you've been this, you've been that. He said, Mom, listen to me. I'm
Yes.
telling you what I've been feeling. And
Wow.
I may not have told you, but this is who. But even then, I'm a therapist, remember?
Yes.
Talk to people about this, but my first reaction was like, hell no.
Yes.
Not coming
Mm-hmm.
to my daughter. And I quickly used some scripture. And for a very long time, every morning I would just send her a scripture. This is what you need. You just need to
Keep
believe.
going, Justin, and let me run take care of this.
Yeah,
Keep going for a very long time.
what you need. And I will be sending her those faith-based word, believing that, look, once you have this word and you believe them, it's gonna work for you. Until I think about sometimes in June this year, and she came home for my mom's funeral because my mom passed in May and we had the funeral in June. And she came home and said, do you know I actually went to see a psychologist? Truth be told, I almost passed out. I said, why?
Mm.
Why do you think you need it?
Mm-hmm.
You can't you talk to me? And that is my first
Mm-hmm.
reaction as an African, as a Nigerian,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking, what if everybody knows now? What would they be thinking? And all that. And that is the situation that most of us find ourselves. It's not because we don't believe in it, but why do we shy away from it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, Leandra, do you hear similar stories from your family about their worry about what
Mm-hmm.
other people will say?
Yes. And I can definitely say that it is based in love. I know my parents care about me deeply.
Mm-hmm.
But when I mentioned that I went to go see a psychiatrist and I was diagnosed as bipolar 2, it was more of a no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. Get up, clean up your house, go for a walk, take care of yourself, giving me all like the stereotypical things to hop out of your depression.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
just
Right.
like, okay, but I'm telling you, I have this issue. I was diagnosed as this, and they're recommending this medicine for me to be on. I'm taking it. And when they found out I was on medication, it was a whole explosion because you don't need this to alter, your mood and behavior. You don't need to be dependent on it. Just pray, give it to Jesus. And I'm like, okay, but Jesus gave, for those who believe, Jesus gave the knowledge and the information to these doctors to help me in this issue that I'm having, that I've been having for years, but we just didn't know what to do or say about it. Because, I mean, of course, with all the stigmas that have been brought up in my head about, mental wellness, and it's like, oh, that's not me because I'm not that bad, or you know, I'm not so bad off to where I can't take care of myself. It's not that. It,
Mm-hmm.
you know, after getting diagnosed and after talking to these medical professionals, I was able to accept, my diagnosis. But to them, it's no, you can come talk to me. No, you don't need this medicine. Stay at my house for a while and we'll just, work it out. But when I push back on that, that's when, the conversations come up. Well, you don't want to talk to us. You're not opening up, and your problems are like this because you don't talk to anybody about it. But it's, I do talk to the people who I should be able to trust with it. Is just you all are not accepting of the diagnosis. You're not accepting of the fact that there's somebody else that's able to help me mentally. And I feel like it takes away from their, I'm trying to see how to phrase this. I feel like they feel like they're losing a part of me. And when naturally, like, they're not, they're still my parents. But I also do need, a medical professional to help me get through some things in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, this is very much a similar experience.
So this is so powerful, Justina, on your end, it's like you almost are being in the position of her parents, right? And feeling that like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What did I not do enough of? What did I miss? And so our parents take a lot of that on as if somehow they're responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it feels like it's an attempt to shut it down, to make you, okay, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But
Mhm.
like you're saying, sometimes we do need professional medical help. You know, I
Mhm.
wonder, even as you were talking, Leandra, well, how does that put that person that's actually going through the struggles, right? So they were
Mhm.
number one, they were already going through the struggle, say of the mood swings, right? The ups and the downs. And then now they have to, in a way, carry their parents'
Mhm.
sadness or frustration or
Yeah.
worry, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Because I do feel like they feel like they did something wrong or they missed something. So
Mm-hmm.
then I in turn feel bad, sharing it because I don't want them to feel like they are inadequate parents. But
Hmm.
you
Even.
know, it
Even.
it happens.
Hmm.
I go through these things and I should be able to communicate it with them, but they get upset that I'm taking it outside the house.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
never forget when I was on my way to you. Why are you going, to tell her all of our business? Just sit down and we can work it out. And I'm just like, because the problem is you. I can't do that right
For
now.
us.
Yeah.
As
So
Leandra is talking, I'm seeing myself in the position of the parent because that's how I was feeling. Was
yeah.
my daughter is like, how do you know nobody has this thing in the family because you never get tested, you never put yourself out there? Because I'm like, nobody has this. It's not coming. You just
Right.
because you listening to your friends, you
Mm-hmm.
why you are imagining it.
Yes.
And she will be like, how do you even know? Nobody has ever even gone out there to.
Right. Exactly.
So and even now, I can't really stop her, but I wish I could. But
yeah.
I can't. She's of age. She knows what she wants, and she's
Right.
Mm-hmm.
gone for it. But I still feel, and I still have those reservations about.
Mm-hmm.
And as Dr. Wallace was talking, something came into my mind that over the years, the black family have swept things under the carpet. We've denied the very fact, even when we see them stare in our very own face, and we've created more victims
Mm-hmm.
than victors. And that is something that we need to start to look into to address. The earlier we intervene, the better. But we try to keep it to cover it. Even when people have terminal illness, where I come from, they don't tell people
Mm-hmm.
until I no longer conceal it. Oh, I have cancer. I could have spoken out. Everybody could have put in their suggestion, do this, do that, go to this,
Mm-hmm.
and I get help on time. But I kept it to myself. I don't want people to know. Oh, they mustn't know I'm going through this until it becomes so bad. Stage
Mm-hmm.
4, 3 weeks more, 4 weeks more. That's when I start to tell the family now, this is what I've been going through. But what if I had spoken up earlier?
Right.
Somebody somewhere and I could have gotten a healing.
Mm-hmm.
Justina, I'm smiling because I think that's where all black people got that from. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We do it still. We do it still. We do it still. It's like everybody knows this person is sick with this issue, but the family just will not. it's just hard for us to
Mm-hmm.
release that kind of thing because still, maybe it's because of the way we are, the way we look at families. We are very connected with families. I think it's just a thing where I am my family is me. That
Mm-hmm.
feeling where we are not
Mm-hmm.
separate. It's hard because then you take it on as if, well, I myself, I have to defend, I have to protect, I have to guard
Mm-hmm.
family, like to the death. Maybe it's also a part of not feeling safe enough to trust the
Yeah,
rest of the community, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That information.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. So here are some more of these myths. Black people don't get depressed. Black people have Jesus, so we don't need therapy. Black people are too strong to get depressed. We know how to deal with that.
Mhm.
Black people who do go to therapy are crazy. Black people who go to therapy don't have faith. They're not real Christians. Have you heard any of those? What are your thoughts on that?
Miss Justina, you can go first if you
I
want.
love that one that that says if you go for therapy, you're not Christian enough. Your
Mm-hmm.
faith is weak.
Mm,
You're not strong enough. You're not believing God enough to intervene for you.
mm-hmm,
And that is one strong thing that even paralyzes the African Christian ones,
mm-hmm,
religious ones. Is like everything has to God will solve it. God
mm-hmm.
has you. You can go wrong. It is true God has us, we can go wrong. But at the same time, our bodies are aging based on the food, based on the product that we use. And when they conflict with what God has already put there, some things come up and we gotta deal with them. But we hide under the cloak of religiosity and we allow things to just go. And I'm a victim of this too. Like I said earlier on, I started to send my daughter some scriptures every morning. What I'm telling her is you don't need those doctors. You don't need the psychologists. You don't need the evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Just believe in this word. Pray it into your life and you will be so.
Yeah, yeah,
But God has created everybody. He gave us this profession. He gave us this wisdom for us to be able to use and synergize. I love that word that just came to my mind now. We synergize so that we could have a whole wellness
that's right.
and
That's
that we
what we
start
said.
to think that way
That
and
is
move on
powerful.
that has kept us bound up.
And it
We need
has kept
to
us
change.
bound. You say it's like a binding. That is almost like a curse.
Yeah.
That might be the real curse because, like you say, if we wait so long and we wait till it gets to crisis level
Mm-hmm.
before we do go for help, all of those possible little interventions we could have gotten, the support, the help, we miss out on it. Mm, we miss out on it. Look, I have some people, Facebook user is saying that a lot of our people think it's a white people thing. We're
Mm-hmm.
afraid of how we will be viewed. We think our faith will be questioned. It's taboo. We believe our family should be able to get us through. Um, Somebody says that they heard their parents, Petra is from Dominica. She says she heard that all the time. They teach us that we must not tell people our business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That was it. That's it.
yeah. So there is value in that, though, the not telling people your business. You don't want to just
Mm-hmm.
expose yourself to anybody, but there must be times when you say yes. So for you, Leandra, why did you say yes to therapy?
Um, so ironically, my mom is the one who found you, Dr. Wallace. I was having such a hard time mourning the loss of my aunt. And I'll never forget we all, me, my mother, my grandmother, went to the doctor because we were just having a hard time. And they put us on, I forget, it's been years now, but they put us on antidepressant. And we were on it. I know I was on it for like a week, and my mom was like, okay, enough. We don't need this. We're not going to do this. We don't need this. And that was that. And oh, I had to be in my early 20s at that point. But after that, I still felt like, no, something is still off. I'm not processing this correctly. And life events just kept happening, kept happening. And I think I mentioned one time that maybe therapy would help me. And so my mom, I guess, did her research on what moms do when they're trying to help their child.
Mm-hmm.
She did the research, and I felt like, I think she thought after one time of just talking to somebody else that everything would be healed, the depression would go away, and sunshine and rainbows. And I didn't think she realized that this was going to be an ongoing journey that I needed in my life. So it's funny to say, like, the person who is so against it is the one that brought me to it, but I don't think she understood the process. Ask your question again, Doc. I want to make sure that I'm answering it.
Like, what made you say yes to
What
therapy?
made me say yes? So
Yeah.
so I already knew that I just needed somebody else to talk to, because my therapist in the family was now gone. I went to my aunt with my problems. She was the person that I could go to with everything. So at that age, I lost her in 2011. I was 21. At that age, I was still fine. Life hadn't hit me that hard yet until, after I lost her, and everything just kind of came tumbling down. But I even noticed, even before losing her, there are just things that now that I'm in therapy, I'm able to go back and say, no, these issues were here before. I lost my aunt. This was just I guess a triggering experience that just kind of shut everything down. But these issues were here before, how I processed things, how I dealt with hardships in my life. So I realized I can't do this alone. I realized that I can't go to my mom and dad for every single thing because they're just not going to get it. And I needed to have, I know I needed to have, I knew I needed to have an unbiased opinion, somebody who can just keep me focused, keep me grounded, because I needed that.
Yeah.
So that's why I said yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Justina, how about you? Growing up in a culture where many people don't believe this therapy thing is a thing, right? They tell you to pray instead. What made you say yes to therapy?
I would say I walked into therapy. I didn't really choose therapy, because why I said that was, prior to coming to America, I didn't even know anything about therapy. But when I came in, and at the point where you start to think, what do I do? Everybody was talking about nursing, and I never loved blood. So I just felt, I can do that. So I started to research into what else can I do. And I ran into this psychology, and I read it out. So I saw it as a ministry of help.
Mm.
I could help people out there, and it made sense to me. And that is how I pursued that. So when I came out, I didn't even know I would be doing therapy because how will I make use of what I've just learned in school? And talking to people, I was guided into this. And that is how I came into it. And I had to see a lot of things that we overlook, that we don't even pay attention to, that we don't even consider as necessary. People are really going through, and it's affecting them, and even affecting their daily function, not just
Mm-hmm.
over time. And that started to make me to think and to embrace it more. And I think I want to say that it's one job that just love to do, because I see myself working with people of need and being able to be there for them, somebody they can talk to, they can share stuff with, and we so it's a level of trust, and it's like they trusting their issues into my care, and
Mm.
I have come to embrace that. I've come to appreciate them rather than to even see the stigma, so to say, or the labeling. I'm all out there to help. I never even think about that. But that is how we feel. We
Yeah.
put that into us and we allow it to stop us from getting the help that we actually need. So
Mm-hmm.
but we should be able to break through those barriers and seek for that help because we need it. It is most needed in our community. And saying this, I want to say that another thing that has been coming to my mind is how many women out there have become a victim of domestic violence that have taken their life. Thank God you survived it. What about those that didn't survive?
Yeah.
Just because our family wanted us to remain, even though we saw it
Yes.
and we wanted out, but families are like, stay there. This guy is nice to us. He
Yeah.
comes with a broad smile when he sees us. When there
Mm.
is a family function, he's all out there making the barbecue, doing everything for everybody. How dare you say he's doing this to you? And at the end of the day, they are late today. What
Yeah.
if we sought help and receive them, believe them for their word, and seek help for them?
Mm.
We will still have those people in today.
This is powerful, Justina. We call these people flying monkeys because they're the ones who say you have this narcissistic, terrible person. You're telling them this is what's happening and this is what I'm feeling about it. They're trying to tell you you don't really feel what you feel, and why exactly are you feeling what you feel? You should be feeling this way. Your feeling is wrong. Yeah. And like you say, many people now under that pressure. If I can't even speak about my pain because I have to be the strong person, back to that strong stereotype, I have to be strong and take it and deal with it and be patient with it while I'm getting killed and abused over here. Yeah. And so many people cave under the pressure. It's too much. It hurts too much. And why would it not hurt too much to be living in an environment where you're being emotionally, physically, psychologically brutalized?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some of your therapy experiences that you have found to be particularly helpful, say compared to others? Like, so what's been most helpful for you, Leandra? What kinds of therapy would you say? Do you think the kind of therapy too impacts whether or not Black people go? Like, do you think who they're going to makes a difference? Do you think they should, it makes a difference if you have a white therapist, a Black therapist? What are your thoughts?
I knew my number one thing was that I wanted a Black woman. I wanted a Black woman because I knew that a Black woman would be able to see me as a Black woman. Like, you'll understand my struggles. You'll understand, my journey because we're one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like whenever somebody if they're searching for a therapist, I feel like that should be, their number one priority. Who do you see yourself as? And then go look for somebody that you can identify with. I think it was very important for me to have a Black woman as my therapist. So I feel like the stars aligned when we united. But I'm yeah, like am I able to feel comfortable? Like, can we actually have a conversation and I don't feel like I'm every single thing is just I don't feel like I'm talking to my mom. Like that was very, very important to me. Like, can I be myself when I'm talking to this person? Because I won't lie, I was very intimidated before, our initial session. I was like, oh, she's gonna think, my problems are just nothing, or maybe I'm just out of control and she's just not gonna know what to do. Like, it was scary. I'm not gonna lie, it was very scary, especially with the stigmas that were placed in my head. But yeah, like I said, the most important thing was making sure that I had a Black woman, because I knew that I would be able to be seen, and that was important for me.
Mm, that's powerful. uh, as you were talking, I got to thinking about how everybody knows it. We code switch. So, like you say, when I'm with my friends, I talk a certain way. When I'm with people
Mhm.
who I know already understand a lot of who I am and how I am, I speak a certain way. When I'm with other people that I'm managing my impressions or their impressions of me, I'm speaking a
Mhm.
certain way too. It's a different thing. So, what I hear you saying is for you, it was important to work with somebody who already you didn't have to navigate all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very important. Like, I can be myself. I can say a certain phrase and you'll understand it. I don't
Yeah.
have to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah.
Um, because we spend so much time, having to be in positions where we can't be our authentic self 24/7,
Mm.
right? Like, I can't be loud, or I can't just bust out in tears like, I have to be a certain version of myself every part of the day. But like, if I can find a therapist where I can connect and I can actually just come in and,
Mm.
Dr. Walls, let me tell you what's going on today, girl. Like, I can just come and be myself, my authentic self. I feel like that's what's important for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for that,
Mhm.
Justina. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm leaning on her own side too. Like, you anybody is everybody's choice.
Mhm.
You could feel comfortable with somebody of a different race, with a white or with a black. But personally, I will prefer to work with somebody that I feel will understand me. And I do that with my own PCP, with my own primary care provider.
Mm.
I don't. If you give me a white person, I'm gonna request for a black. Say, do you have a black? Do you
Mm-hmm.
have a doctor from Nigeria? Because I
Mm-hmm.
believe he knows what I
Yeah.
will be sharing. He will be able to relate with what I will be telling them. So I feel more comfortable to have somebody like that, and that is what I feel. And at the same time, you don't want somebody to sound just like Leandra was saying, like your mama. I've had people tell me in therapy, "Oh God, you judging me." I'm like, "What? I'm not judging. I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you as it is," and things like that. And another thing that I see with my own self being a therapist, I love working with kids a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And reason being that I love to help them. I want to see them modify their behavior. I want to see them do something proactive and positive with their life. So
Mm-hmm.
I have that passion when I'm working with them. And I bring in my old self into it, and just like, no, you can't go to school and be fighting. You can't go to school and talk rude to your teacher and all that. And they'll be like looking at me, Miss Justine. I say, yes, that is what you should show respect. And, and I will start with myself, and I would say, don't call me Justina, call me Miss Justina. So that is respect. That you showing respect because you want somebody to respect you. I explain to them, and over time they get it, and they say, okay, you love to become Mister, you love to be gentleman. I say, okay, and that helps. And it's just because I'm bringing in what I have from my background into what I see here, and I want to help them see that, look, you can't be going this way and expect to do something meaningful. You're gonna run into the wrong side of the law, and you just have to live straight and do the right thing. And I see it work. And I see a lot of these kids. They and their parents will even call me sometimes. of the business hour. So you need to talk to this boy of yours. And I'll be like, okay, just put him on, and they will listen. And I see them not listening to their mom, but they want to listen to me. And that is that connectivity that I see and I love most in doing this.
You know, I had the theme that rang similar to both of you was that of connection and authenticity.
Yeah,
Like feeling like bringing my whole self, feeling free to bring my whole self in to the therapy session as a therapist and to the session as a client, where, okay, this is all part of, and this is all part of the healing, you know. One of the biggest and most potent, the strongest factors of healing in therapy is the relationship, is the connection between the therapist and the client.
yeah,
The quality of the relationship that you can build is very healing. So sometimes, as skilled as you are, if you and that person cannot connect, it's not going to work. Therapy is not going to work. Therapy is not going to work. So Petra says, I believe if most Black people accept therapy as a healing process, we as a people would be better in relations, in the way we relate to each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I definitely agree.
That's
Yeah. So one of the things I want to do right now is give each of you an opportunity. If you've got something, and I'm saying that because I already know that Leandra has found ways to show her authenticity and to turn what could be called, you know, like struggles into triumph, right? Into passion, into profit, in her instance, right? Into purpose. So, Leandra, I want you to tell me some of the things that you are doing that are that fit that
That
category.
fit all of that,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, and share it with the people.
Well, I'm gonna start. There are two things. I'm gonna start with the smaller thing. I mean, as you can see, I'm pretty sure y'all are like, what is all this junk in her background? I'm in my happy space right now. This is like my crafting room, my gaming room. I'm a big kid. I love to play video games, and that's like a source of my, like calming when I want to zone out. But the main thing that I like to do is crochet. So during the when COVID first broke out and the shutdown happened, I started crocheting a lot. And this was actually ironically like the first thing I made. And this blanket back here was like my big like project of the year. So I started crocheting and I realized like,
Show us the hat again. Show us the
oh, yes, yes,
higher up. You just barely showed it. I want to see it.
look, I got the whole stock here.
That's right.
wow.
I make slouchy beanies. This is like my specialty. I make slouchy beanies. And I'll never forget, I told Dr. Wallace, like, I want to start a shop. It just started off as an idea. And eventually I opened up a little Etsy shop and I just kept crocheting. I just kept making stuff. And then people started buying it. I make a lot of hair accessories, nerdy stuff.
This is so cool.
Yeah, and I find it to be healing for myself, and then as I'm healing, I'm making some money. So so win-win for me. So yeah, I started my crochet business was founded out of healing, and that has been it's been an incredible journey, and I don't want it to stop. I I encourage, like, that is one thing my mom, because my mom was like, keep your mind busy, use your hands, do something, crochet. She gave me that skill when I was younger. My aunt, my grandma, and my mom taught me how to crochet. So that was something as an only child when I felt myself, kind of slipping. If I needed to just chill out and get cozy, I would crochet. That was like my comfort zone. So as an adult, I've come back to that hobby, and I'm having fun with it.
So, what is the name of your store on Etsy?
Okay, so guess what, you guys? A few weeks ago, I just got my own website, and you can find me at knottytings.com. KNOTTYTINGS.com.
Yeah.
So yeah, check me out. Check me out.
Yes, check her out, check her out, check her out. The name of her store is Naughty Tings. Like, like how Ting, the drink we drink back home, the little green bottle Ting, like thing, but we say Ting. All of us would say Ting. For anybody, H is a Ting, all right?
Yeah.
Naughty Tings, like not, like KNOTTY,
Mm-hmm.
Tings. And the
Yeah.
site is so beautiful. The site is just
Thank
beautiful.
you. You can.
Congratulations. Go ahead,
Thank you. I'm
you can.
also on. Hmm.
What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say I'm also on IG in the same name. You can follow me on IG and Twitter at the same name too.
Follow her on Insta. One of the things that you were saying, Leandra, was that over the course of learning how to care for yourself, right, emotionally, you've begun practicing meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And what did you say about you actually compared loving kindness meditation to
Mm-hmm.
the sensation and the feeling you get when you're
Yeah.
crocheting.
Yeah, because like crocheting, you get to it's very repetitive when you're doing like certain stitches. So I'm able to kind of like zone out and focus on that stitch that I'm doing. And then sometimes, as I'm like in this space, I'm able to kind of like think and slow down and process a little bit better. And by the time I finish, like we were just saying, but when I finish a project or when I finish crocheting for the night, I'm able to just kind of like relax, like, wow, that feels good. I'm kind of, my head feels clear. I'm relaxed. So it's really interesting to see like how it's beneficial. It works. And I mean, Mama, you were right. But that helps. Like that helps me kind of zone out and find my sense of calm.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Justina, I know you're going to Bible study soon. Do you have anything else that you'd love to share with us that we could check out?
I just want to say that I love to unwind by just being with friends, talking, and that is on the side. But what gives me more joy, that makes me tick, that keeps me going, is when I meet with my clients and we talk. And when we are going through some coping skills,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm doing them for me too, not just for them.
Oh,
It's
yes.
like I'm telling you to visualize. That helps me too. I'm telling you to do some deep breathing. I'm probably modeling with you. Oh, you could meditate. So it gives me that sense of calmness at the end of the day. And working with people, when I look back, because I normally do like an assessment for me, 3 months down the line, where was this person when I picked them? Where are they now? And when I see that progress, it gives me a lot of joy. And like I said earlier on, to me, it's means just like Leandra said, I'm doing what I like and I'm being paid for. That's how I see it. I would be like, oh, who can beat that? I'm doing something that I like and I get paid for that.
Yes.
It's like I get an extra because I don't have to get paid to do it.
That's right.
But now I'm doing it and I'm getting paid. It's a win-win. So, and I
Absolutely.
love that. And the fact that I'm making impacts in the life of people, influencing them. And I could see that turnaround. It gives me a lot of joy. And I want to do more. I want to do more.
That is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Something you said a minute ago, Justina. If only I could share how many times I have reminded myself, well, what would I tell a client in this situation
Mm.
in my own life? Like, what would I say if a client was asking me this? If a client came to me with this situation, how would I work with it? And I use that for myself. Sometimes in the session, I think every therapist has that experience where you're doing the therapy and you swear you're talking to yourself. You hear the words leave your mouth. You're not sure how they even got there, but you're also like ministering to yourself. So I hear you, Leandra, that The therapist really, in a way, is a stand-in for God, for Jesus, who is not able to be there physically to give you your therapy, but through, knowledge is going to increase according to the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God gives everybody gifts. To some, He gave the gift of prophecy. To some, He gave the gift of speaking in tongues. To some, He gave the gift of healing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as much as we are highly spiritual people, which is a beautiful thing, that is not all that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That is not all that we are. So let's start in the last 10 minutes because Justina's got to go to Bible study and take care of her spiritual needs. What are some of your final thoughts? Like, what's been maybe like your favorite experience, or your biggest aha moment working as a therapist, or for you, Leandra, going to therapy, participating in
Mm-hmm.
therapy, or maybe what's been your biggest struggle, biggest win? You can pick anyone. Either of you can go first, and then I'll share my final
You
thoughts.
can go, Miss Justina.
I'm trying to think. What's my haha moment?
I have mine.
Go ahead. Maybe that will give
Okay.
me time.
Okay, give me some time. So my biggest moment, it was a phrase that Dr. Wallace gave to me years ago. And I know she knows what I'm getting ready to say. Cause I know when I walked in, I was like, hey, how you doing? And she said, I'm choosing to be well. And I was like, okay, girl, I don't know what that means, but sure. Okay. And she would say it every single time. And I'd be like, go, okay, go you girl. And I was like, I still I don't get it, but okay, I'm gonna get it one day. And then eventually, like, it hit me. I said, it is an active choice to be well. It's an active choice to wake up every day and try your best. And again, I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
every day has to be sunshine and rainbows because it's not, but I think that was my biggest moment whenever somebody's asking me how I'm doing. I might be drugging along and coming into work like, oh God, I gotta get my life together and get ready for these kids. But when somebody asks how I'm doing, I always say I'm choosing to be well. That is now the phrase of my school. I need you to know that. Like, that's what people say. And every time they say, where'd you get it from? Got it from a therapist. I go to therapy. Have you got, like, and I don't care. Like, I used to be ashamed. I used to be ashamed because I was made to feel ashamed
Hmm.
for it. But my last thought is go to therapy. Hashtag go to therapy.
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
there's nothing wrong with it. Um, Even if it's just for I mean, just talk to a medical professional. It's okay. It is not as scary as it seems. Once you find somebody that you connect with, you do have to do homework to find one. You do have to do homework, and the work to make sure that the connection is right. But that's my lasting thought. My aha moment of my journey in therapy is making the active choice to be well. And that means showing up for therapy, showing up and doing the work for yourself after you leave therapy, because the work continues. The work begins once you leave that session. And so I tell you, Doc, man, I've been working it since the last one. But yesterday. Anyway, but yes, it's work. It's work. Healing is work. And I feel like that's what everybody needs to know. Healing is work. And it's not an overnight thing. It's not an over year thing. It's not an over 5 year thing. Because that's about, I think we did the math. That's about how long I've been. It's been over 5 years. And it's still a journey for me. And I'm learning that this is just going to be a lifelong journey. And I'm okay with being a lifelong client of a therapist. I'm fine. That's going to help me get through.
That's right. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. I love that so much. Justina, how about you?
I'm going to start off from one of the phrases that she used. Healing is a process, is a lifetime journey. And that is often the mistake that we make. We just think we have few sessions, we are healed, and that is it. And that will be one of my haha moments, because when I look at people that I work with,
Mm,
and you see how far they have come along the way. It's just like, wow. So this person can actually be this. This was somebody who never believed in him or herself, who never saw something good on her way. But now I had a situation where I wasn't able to attend the graduation, but at least I was aware she graduated. And that was somebody that was almost going to give up.
Yeah.
I said I won't go again until she came to therapy, and we started working with her. She went out to an alternate school and all that. And that those are the moments that keeps me going. Even I will leave my phone open. Some therapists, they don't call me after hours. I will tell you, I want to catch you in the minute, in the moment. So if you can call me, I will be up to talk to you.
Yeah.
I will be able to say one or two things to you because I want to catch you right there. Don't wait until tomorrow, until 3 days, until 1 week when you have to see me. So because it's better to catch it right there and help you see, and that will make the difference that you're looking for. And that is one thing that I love about this job. It is the motivation, the inspiration for me that keeps me going. And just like we all said, there is no end to this. As long as we're breathing, we're going to be going,
Absolutely.
we're going to be processing.
Mm-hmm.
And our perspective, our mindset is one who determines what happens on the other side. And that's why we need to have that positive mindset, the go-getter mindset, the I
Mm-hmm.
can do it. I know you have a book, I can, or so, the I can mindset, because that is what will get us to that end that we want. Never think you're going to wake up without any trouble, without any struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Challenges are made for man, and men are meant to overcome those challenges.
Indeed. Mm. Indeed. Indeed. There is no human on this planet who is not dealing with their own challenge. You're
Mm-hmm.
not special and you're not crazy. You're not
Mm-hmm.
bad. You didn't do anything wrong. It is what it is sometimes with some of these diagnoses. You might be the first person to show up with it in the family. Like you said, a couple of, Justina, you were saying maybe great grandpa had it, but we just thought he was moody and irritable and he had a bad temper or whatever. Now we have more information. Now we can diagnose you properly and now we can care for you properly. So I want to tell you all, ladies, thank you so much. But before we wrap up, I want to share my final thoughts and some tips to clients, to Black clients, people who got some melanin in the skin, and you have cultures and families that sound like Leandra's and sound like Justina's and sound like mine. Because, like Justina, when I grew up, I did not know what it meant to be depressed. I had no idea when I came to the University of Mississippi. And that was in 1993, 94. I had no idea what it meant to be stressed. I didn't know what that meant. I had been through grief. I had lost my mom, and so I felt the sadness of that. But I had no idea you could become clinically depressed after grief and bereavement and loss. No idea, you know? And so it's important for us to take responsibility for ourselves. Nobody's going to come rescue you. And what a shame to miss out where all these other people are taking advantage of this beautiful resource. And you're saying, no, 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 I don't need it. I can do it without it. I can do it without it. Next thing, you suffer longer, you suffer harder, and sometimes to your death. So, here are my final tips for those people, especially working with Black families, Black clients. It might be easier, I think, these are just my thoughts, right? It might be easier, I think, for many Black people, given our cultures of protection of ourselves, protection of the family is a strong value in Africa, the Caribbean, in America. It's a value we have as families. That's not going to change. Yeah. So it might be easier for us to say we don't need therapy because we don't want to hurt other people's feelings by telling them, or we don't want to hurt, like the people we don't want to hurt, our family members. We don't want to put our business out there. Also, we might not trust you because, as Leandra says, we're not sure how we can be ourselves with you completely. So sometimes people will just say, man, I don't need that. Like, when you can't get a gift or a toy, if you say you don't have enough money and this beautiful thing is in the store, you might just say to yourself, I don't need that, knowing it's just because you don't have the money or the way to access it that you're not accessing it. When it comes to therapy, look, Africa is where psychotherapy began. And I'm quoting Carl Jung, who's one of the fathers of psychology. Why do I say that? I say that because it is in Africa that you can go and find the earliest healers and shamans. Yeah. It is not modern psychology, but modern psychology understands healing from that premise. So to say that Black people don't need therapy, for Black people to say that is a misunderstanding, really, of their roots, of their culture, of their own history. Okay? The processes are different. I think African peoples, again, need more than the mental when it comes to recovery. So psychology is very mental. Cognitive behavior therapy is about words. It's about words and processing thoughts. But what I'm hearing from you, Leandra, and from Justina is that deep cultural grounding in the spiritual. But human beings exist on three planes: spiritual, mental, and physical. Psychology has taken a lot of the spiritual away. That's where it's rooted. I think it's missing a lot of Black peoples because of that. It's missing a lot of our people because it asks the therapist to separate spirituality and psychology. That's hard for Black people everywhere because now you start asking us to divorce a big piece of who we are. That's very hard. So those modalities, those ways of doing therapy that incorporate more spiritual, like hypnotherapy, I find them working very well with a lot of Black people once they understand it. Right? When you have therapies that include touch. I grew up in a little village where there was a lady who, her job, she would rub you to health. She would rub you. She would know what was going on and do her concoction and rub you to health. So that's physical, mental, and spiritual. We cannot divorce the spiritual. And I think modern psychology with Black people is making a mistake by not including more of that. Okay? If I come to you and I tell you the grandbaby saw my grandmother who passed 2 weeks ago, understand that I believe she saw. And here's the thing, we know they see them because all of us have these stories. So because you don't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So that kind of platform, we need that kind of understanding. That's why you're saying it's easier to go to somebody who understands your culture, who understand that there might be some spiritual misalignment also going on that's impacting the mental. It happens because we are all mental, physical, and spiritual. Okay? So I just want to encourage people who, if you're struggling, if you feel like you're in some kind of suffering, It could feel like in your emotions, it could feel like in your thoughts. There are people to help you, right? You might start with your spiritual person, yes, because that's easier for you, but find a professional. And there are
Mm.
many professionals who look like me, who look like Justina, and there are many people who look like you, like Leandra, who are going to see people like us. Okay? So I want to thank those of you who tuned in. It is 7:05. I want to remind you that you got to learn how to think better so you can feel better and do better. All right? Peace. See you all next Thursday. Thank you all so much, Leandra and Justina.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. It was nice meeting you, Miss Justina.
Yes, thanks to everybody who showed up. Ditliff and Crispin and Petra and the others who showed up. All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.